In an I-Team investigation, hundreds of prisoners have been released early back onto Kansas City streets. That includes dozens released against judges' orders. Judges tell me in many cases, this involves people with serious mental health issues.
Want to get them released, but they're not stable yet to be released because they're still hearing voices. They're still very aggressive.
It's an issue I uncovered through my previous reporting on courts and mental health months ago. Judges, police, and city leaders all tell me it's tied to the fact Kansas City currently doesn't have its own jail, an issue you will see on the ballot in just 2 weeks. So here's one example of an individual who's had 34 cases in Kansas City alone. Now we're showing you his mugshot here because in most of these cases, he's been convicted. Philip Moore was most recently taken into custody after allegedly punching 2 security guards in the face at a bus stop, even knocking one man's tooth out. And he's just one example of someone with mental health issues who's being released early from jail only to appear in front of the same judge days later. I've been in the courtroom for this case. I've talked with several people, and tonight I'm sharing their voices. A judge and a Kansas City officer who've seen this issue firsthand, and the mayor, who acknowledged, unfortunately, this isn't an isolated case. How do you explain to the public why this is happening?
So we share the viewpoint with the public that it is wholly unacceptable. We try our level best to make sure that those who need to be incarcerated, who have been adjudicated by a judge to be a threat to themselves, a partner, or our community, are incarcerated. The challenge comes down to the space that we have right now. We are renting from counties throughout western Missouri.
Those counties being Vernon and Johnson County, Missouri. Circuit court prisoners at the county level, those accused of more serious crimes, are held in the Jackson County Detention Center. Those in municipal court, typically facing more minor offenses, would be in a city jail, but Kansas City currently doesn't have one. Instead, contracting with those 2 outside counties. However, in the contracts with both Vernon and Johnson County, there are clauses that basically allow them to release or refuse individuals at their discretion. Reading through some of the reports, that can include everything from prisoners fighting to being aggressive towards staff to simply making room for another inmate.
Part of the reason you see these people come out is that each day our staff is challenged with a list of priorities. Who is the biggest threat? Who is the biggest challenge? And sometimes, shockingly, someone who has reoffended a number of different times may not be more of a threat than someone who, let's say, was just domestically abusing someone in their home.
Records we obtained showed over an almost 4-year period, 427 prisoners have been released early back to Kansas City under an emergency release. On top of that, another 84 prisoners were released early against judges' orders, which in many cases can mean a judge ruled that person a danger to himself or others.
It's a problem that has been around for a long time. It is a problem that nobody really pays attention to until somebody does something real significant or to somebody significant.
Among that list of people released early and against judges' orders, 41-year-old Moore, the man involved in that video we showed you at a bus stop. In addition to being convicted in the Jackson County Circuit Court and doing time in the Missouri Department of Corrections, he also repeatedly appeared in front of Kansas City Municipal Court judges for everything from stealing to disorderly conduct to multiple assaults. Time and time again, municipal court judges would order him to remain in custody, noting he was a danger to himself and others. But Moore was released twice from Johnson County, Missouri, once for being aggressive towards staff and once for refusing to shower. He was also given an emergency release from Vernon County to create space for another inmate. Records show in each of these early releases, he was accused of committing another offense anywhere from within 2 days to 2 weeks of his release date. In the midst of all of this, a municipal court judge repeatedly tried to get Moore evaluated by the Department of Mental Health and placed in their care. However, that's another difference between Kansas City's municipal and circuit courts. In Missouri, the law only allows judges at the circuit court level to order a mental evaluation and send someone to a state hospital, which police and judges agree is sometimes the best option for an individual.
It is frustrating when you see someone in a crisis and you see their life going off track and they're committing crimes or they're doing things and you see them on repeat and you're like, man, if you would just get off the drugs, if you would just take your medicine, your life would be so different.
The city filed a lawsuit on behalf of municipal court judges to try to allow them to have people evaluated and committed, if needed, to receive treatment. After a judge denied the request, it's now in the Court of Appeals. And if that's not successful, the city will look at other options.
And ultimately, I think this is the sort of thing that we take to the state Supreme Court. If they side with status quo, which is not working for the people of Kansas City, then I think it is an important time for us to look at state legislation that can allow our municipal court judges to have the tools to direct these people to receive mental health care and evaluations.
A reminder, while jails and detention centers can't force a prisoner to take medications, the Department of Mental Health can. While judges and police agree that level of specialized care can help, they also acknowledge the new jail Kansas City is set to build will help prevent people from being released early, but that new building isn't set to open till 2026. As for Moore, his behavior allegedly escalated to the point he was charged with a felony for assault, landing him in Jackson County's circuit court, where a judge did order a mental evaluation. That evaluation confirmed what the judge previously noted, that Moore, quote, does not appear to know what is going on, nor does he appear to be able to help in his defense. So he's now been ordered to be committed to the Department of Mental Health.
Now, as we previously mentioned, Moore's case isn't the only one. In fact, we looked over release numbers I have here, and we found roughly a dozen other people. You can see many of them marked in yellow here and highlighter. These were all released early, sometimes against judges' orders, only to end up back behind bars for another offense. A captain with the Johnson County, Missouri Sheriff's Office told me we do not release prisoners early against a judge's orders. Instead, in some situations, particularly with inmates who have mental health challenges, are not compliant with necessary medication treatments, or have medical concerns, we may find them unfit for confinement and thus refuse their intake. He further explained those individuals are sent back to Kansas City, where sometimes, faced with no other housing options, the city's administrator of corrections makes the difficult decision to release.